Uh, okay, so today we're talking about being too much, and how do we get past that, and what does that mean for us, and all of that. So, why don't you guys start by telling me about what is it about being too much that you are most afraid of?
Should we unmute?
Yes.
Um, I think for me, it's a fear of rejection or like people thinking a certain way about me or kind of like dismissing me because they don't want to be around that.
Okay. Cool. So, so it's a fear that people ultimately it's a fear of judgment, right? It's a fear of judgment, and it's a fear of negative judgment. Because there is such thing as a fear of failure, right? And there's also such thing as a fear of success. So when we have some type of fear of judgment, judgment doesn't always mean negative. Sometimes judgment can be positive. You'd be surprised at how many people are afraid to be judged in a positive light because they don't think they deserve that. But in your case, Bridget, you're saying that you're afraid of the negative judgment. And and tell me more about that. Like what is it about the judgment that's so scary for you?
Um, there's an identity piece, I think, first of all, which is I like to think of myself as being self-aware and like um, good at reading a room or like sensitive to people's feelings. So I hate the idea of people thinking I'm not doing a good job of that, of like being kind of tone deaf, I guess, to a situation or kind of coming in with myself taking up maybe too much space. Maybe that's
Okay.
a
So
piece there about not wanting to take up something like take up space I don't deserve
okay.
or hog the spotlight, I guess. So there's like assumptions that I make based on what I think too much means.
Okay. Great. So let's pause on that for a second. I don't want to take up too much space. I want you to just kind of sink into that for a second and really think about what does that really mean?
I mean, there's just this assumption that there's not enough space for everyone to take up the fullest amount that they can.
Ah, okay.
And maybe that I only deserve so much space.
Okay. Okay. Cool. Well, let's look at, I mean, in regards to like how much space there is, how much space is there? Is there an infinite amount of space or a limited amount of space? If you had to pick one answer between those two.
Infinite.
Okay. So is it safe to say that there really is more than enough space for everyone? Okay. So I like what you did because you made it about yourself. You made it about how much space you feel like you deserve to take up. Here, I'll let you in on a little secret, guys. A lot of the fear that we have about what we think other people will think, we already think about ourselves. Does that make sense? If we fear that other people will judge us, we're already judging ourselves. Most of the time when we say they, who we really mean is us. That's a writer downer.
The big one.
Uh-huh. When we say they, who we really mean is us. I'm afraid of us judging myself. Because let's look at it another way. If you were fully saturated into your self-worth and your value and your power, would what other people thought about you make a difference? Not would you care, because we talked about that last week. Maybe you would care, but would it make a difference?
No.
No. Why not?
I think because it's just a different feeling when you're that present with your authentic self.
Right.
You're just not even showing up in a way that's dependent on other people.
Totally. So I'd write this down. Hi, Lauren. I'd write this down. My value is unconditional. That means there are no conditions that change it. Zero. It doesn't matter how many people are in a room or how powerful they are or how smart they are. Their opinion of you does not change you. My value is unconditional. That's pretty good, huh? So if when we say they, what we really mean is I, then where should the focus go on how to resolve this whole thing?
Back onto the me.
Yeah. Totally. Back onto the me. And what is it about the me that feels like it needs the attention?
Specifically in this like example.
Yes.
Or more. I think partly just accepting myself the way I am.
Yes.
So that I'm not criticizing, because like, I mean, the easiest example for me is like on a physical level, literally I'm tall and I'm big and there's a part of me that felt I take up space, but I don't want to on some level because I feel like that's somehow something I'm judging is I don't know if it's like too conspicuous or like uncomfortable. So
sure. How about this? I want you to just try this on for size. Just write this down. I take up a lot of space.
I'll write it down.
No, nothing after that. Just that, period. I take up a lot of space, period. Yeah. How does that feel?
Greedy.
Yeah, let's get greedy, guys. Let's get greedy. Guess what? Can you give from an empty cup, Bridget?
No.
No. What happens when you do? Is it good or is it bad?
It's bad.
Yeah, it's bad. And, you know, we could get into like, oh, it's bad to say that things are bad, like don't judge things. But no, it's bad. It's bad simply because when you give that which you do not have, you turn those who receive from you into thieves. Right? So if Bridget's in her bigness and she's really feeling overflow, she's feeling an overflow of her bigness, and she's like, I take up space. Does that put you in a state? Does that put you in a capacity where you can really give? Totally. And isn't that just how you want to feel? True?
Yeah.
Totally. Try that on for size. I want to be greedy. I want to take up space. How about let's go another layer deeper. I deserve. I'm worthy of taking up a lot of space. Uh-oh.
That feels scary.
That one bumps up against some edges, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Uh-huh. But just sink into it. Don't judge it. Don't doubt it. It's just us here. We love you. So just play with it. Just try it on for size. I'm worthy of taking up a lot of space. Or I get to take up a lot of space. Just give yourself before, you see, this is what happens. We try on a new belief or we try on a new identity that's really not new. It's really who we are, isn't it? We come home to it. We remember it more than anything. But then in an instant, before we even give our chance to really get in it, we shake ourselves out of it with some belief or some other thing. So I want you to just seize this moment and just sit with it. I get to take up a lot of space. Just be in that for just a moment and just feel what that feels like.
It's very exposing.
Yeah. Yeah. When I'm big, I'm exposed for sure. How else does it feel? Liberating?
I'm not sure what the adjective is for this, but kind of like being able to take a full breath, or like being able to, or even like letting a full breath out. It's that kind of release, maybe.
Nice. Nice. That feels good, right? What's the point of lungs this big if you only breathe this much?
Yeah.
Right? That's a metaphor. Yeah, Bridget, I want you to know that you deserve to take up as much space as you can possibly handle. Yeah, you really
It is. It's funny too how the slight tweak of words with deserve and worthy feels so much harder to be comfortable in than when you said, when I take up more space, I have more like room for other people, or whatever it was. Like that framing is a lot more comfortable.
Of course, because who's it about?
Other people.
This is the challenge with us guys, with our type, people who love to give. The challenge most of the time is the person that they give the least to is themselves. It is one of the biggest tragedies of our kind, meaning people who love to give to other people. It doesn't mean that giving to other people is a mask for giving to ourselves. We really honestly do love to give to other people. Is that true? Raise your hand if that's true. Of course. We all love to give to other people. But sometimes we get left behind. We leave ourselves out, and that's not okay. I want all of you to come into a season, to come into an era where you get to be greedy. You get to be selfish, and it's not a bad thing. Because when you get what's good for you, what fills you up, is also good for the world. But that's not why you do it. That's not your motive. Maybe it's a secondary motive, but your primary reason for why you give to you is just so simply that you can have what you want. If it's good for everyone else to have what they want, then doesn't it mean that it's good for you to have what you want? Right? Like, I hate to break it to you, but you're not special. You don't get to be special. Everyone deserves the same amount of love. Everyone is worthy of the same level of expansion, right? Think about little kids. When little kids dream up big ideas and they want to be astronauts and firefighter, we just say, yeah, do it. You can be whatever you want, right? We don't judge some of them based on like who they are or whatever. We just tell them all, yeah, you can do it. But then somewhere along the line, we don't do that for ourselves. And we get lost in this idea that we're not enough. But it's not true. Why would we by nature take up a lot of space if we weren't meant to take up a lot of space? Like trees take up a lot of space, and that's okay. Like there's plenty of space, and that's like what they're designed to do. I want you to get that, Bridget. You're designed to take up a lot of space. That's how you were built. Whether you believe in God or the universe or Bob Dylan or whatever, there's no mistakes. Like you're not accidentally as big as you are. You don't accidentally have a desire to expand as much as you do. And the universe, the world, is very accommodating. Think about fish in the sea. We've talked about this before. How much space do fish in the sea have? 70% of the planet. That's a lot. How much food do they have? More than they could ever eat, right? What about trees? Same thing. What if they wanted to grow up to the moon? Could they do it? If the physics worked out, like, yeah, they could do it, right? What about sunlight? Sunlight's one of their primary needs. How much sunlight do they get? As much as they possibly could want, and then some, right? More than they could ever need. So the whole point is, you shouldn't be afraid of expanding. That's what you do. That's what you're designed to do. Now, there's another part of this as well, which is the what will people think. When I'm fully myself, I might be too loud. I might be too audacious. I might be too much like Kanye West. I'll be too out there, right? Isn't that kind of the fear sometimes? Well, here's the thing, and I'd encourage you guys to write this down. I may have said this before, but I'll say it again for context. It is not my job to manage other people's emotions. You see, as people who love to help other people, we also get stuck sometimes thinking that it's our job to rescue them from themselves. Whose job is that? Theirs. Now, there's another side to this as well, which is it's a little bit presumptuous, don't you think? To think that people won't be able to handle you. Think about some of the greatest rock stars of all time. Yeah, some people thought they were too much, but a lot of people loved them. Like Michael Jackson. Who doesn't like Michael Jackson? I've not met a single person on earth that does not like Michael Jackson. If we were all at a dance party and Michael Jackson came on, you bet your booty that we're all dancing. And we all know the lyrics to the song. Am I right? Give me a thumbs up if I'm right about that. Yeah, of course. We all love Michael Jackson. Now, some people thought he was weird and some people thought he was a little out there, but most people were like, man, he's so inspiring. That's what I want you guys to get, that when you are fully self-expressed, some people won't understand you, but it's not your job to save those people. It's not your job to manage those people's emotions. But some people will be liberated by you. You'll be like a beacon for some people. They'll be like, wow, that Charlotte, she's so self-expressed. I wish I could be like her. Wow, that Miriam, she is so powerful that I can't even imagine what my life would be like if I was like her. Man, that Bridget, she's literally, she's huge. What if metaphor, I could never be that big, but what if I just, in my essence, could be that big? Man. Because that Bridget's essence is bigger than her size, no doubt about it. Let's not get it twisted here, right? So there's what happens is people crack, sometimes for bad, but sometimes for good, right? An egg must crack in order for the chicken to come out. Cracking is a good thing when it's done right. So if you guys really want to help people, which I know you do, then being the most authentic, real, colorful version of yourself is one of the best things that you could possibly do. It's obviously the best thing you could do for yourself because that's how you have the best experience of life. Bridget, is it fun to hide?
No.
No. Is it fun? This is the phrase that I like to use. Is it fun in order to fit? No. Guys, write this down, please. I will not shrink to fit. I've learned two lessons. If I walk into a room and it's too small for me, either I'm going to blow that motherfucker up or it's too small for me. It's just not my room. But I will not shrink to fit. So Bridget, moving forward, if your mindset, if your kind of commitment to yourself, first thing in the morning every day was, I will not shrink to fit, and I get to expand as much as I desire, how would that change your life?
I mean, in a in a huge way.
In a huge way. How fitting. How does it feel?
Exciting.
Yeah. Exciting. Who doesn't want an exciting life? I want you to have an exciting life. Listen, I really believe the entire point of life is just to find out how good you can have it. I think that life is just an experiment to see how good we can give it to ourselves, how much we can be, how much we can do, how much we can have, and how much we can give. That's all life is. I say that's all it is. But it's that simple. Doesn't mean it's easy. But that's the point. How big can I get? How much can I give? What can I do? What's possible? To continue to just push the boundaries of that. Because that's what you're designed to do. So when you don't do that, by default, you feel bad. So what about the opposite? When you do that, you feel excited. You feel full. I love the smiles. Okay, so let's hear from you, Charlotte. You tell me how this idea of being too much or being too big plays into your life.
Well, what came up for me at the beginning was feeling like a fraud if I'm playing too big.
Okay.
And a feeling of fear of making mistakes. But while you've been talking about the authentic me and I wrote it down, expand as much as I desire, that sort of counteracts the feeling of being a fraud, which I think comes from not feeling I can be myself totally,
yeah.
Because I might feel different from what I think other people expect me to be like.
Yeah.
Which then the coming out with the authentic me and all the things you said about that has sort of lifted me up. Sort of.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Okay, awesome. So tell me more. Like, what's the difference? What's the difference between the Charlotte that hides and the Charlotte that's kind of small and the version of you that's really big and authentic? What is give me like the one or two major differences.
Really sort of totally being myself rather than I think a lot of the judgment thing and being judged comes into keeping me hiding a little bit. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. I want you guys to write this down. This is what happens. I think I just came to the realization of this idea recently. And I hope you guys will think this is funny because I think it's funny. You have two versions of yourself. I believe that everyone, on a scale of 1 to 10, right? 10 being the most authentic, real, powerful, awesome version of yourself. And any number in between being an illusion, something that you pretend to be, but is not what you really are. Do you guys get that so far? There is what we really are, and then there's just what we like pretend to be. Maybe it's a 9, but even if it's a 9, it's still not real. Some people think they're a 2 when really they're a 10. Right? You guys are familiar with Superman, right? You know who Superman is? Who is Superman's alter ego? Do you know? Clark Kent. Right? During the day, at his like 9 to 5 job, Superman has to pretend to be this kind of like nerdy office guy. And then when the danger comes, he like does the shirt thing and then he flies away. Well, it's actually the opposite. Superman is Clark Kent's alter ego. You see, the entire time that Clark Kent is sitting in that office, underneath his shirt, he's Superman. He's really a 10. He's really that super version of himself all the time. He can't get away from it. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if he puts on the geeky glasses and the funny suit. He's Superman all the time. So most people have it backwards. They think that Superman pretends to be Clark Kent, when in reality, Superman, they think that it's the opposite, right? And it's a metaphor. People are like that. They think that they're a 6 and every now and then they're a 10, when in reality, they're a 10 all the time. You could not be more worthy or powerful or expanded than you are right now. It's just not possible. It's just that you pretend that you're not. So it feels like you're not. If I said, I want you to think of the most sad moment in your life, you'd start to get sad, but a moment ago, you were probably feeling fine. Some of you were even smiling. So it's not because you were sad, it's just because you thought about it. If you think about being a 6 for too long, you start to think that you are. And that's the challenge. And so here's the funny thing. If you're a 10, if everyone's a 10, the interesting thing is they get bullied by the smaller version of themselves. We get bullied by the version that thinks we're not enough. We get bullied by the version of us that's really like a 5 on a scale of 1 to 10. Does that make any sense? A 10 getting bullied by a 5? That's kind of silly, isn't it? It'd be like Superman getting bullied by a 10-year-old. It would just never happen. And so what I started telling myself is, I will not be bullied. I will not be bullied by myself. I will not be bullied by a 5 or a 6 or a 2 or even a 9. I said it yet. I don't know if you guys saw it, but I posted it yesterday. I wrote a post that said, the odds are not against you.
Yeah.
The odds, in fact, are below you. There's nothing bigger than you. If you're a 10 and the scale only goes to 10, then there's nothing bigger than you. There is no situation. There is no person. There is no opinion. There is no judgment. There is no version of you that is bigger than you. How about that? So, Charlotte, for you, my encouragement would be, what would your life look like in your business, in your personal life, in your relationships, just across the board? What would it look like if you just decided that you were going to stop pretending and that you were just going to be the real, most authentic version of you?
Wow, that would be an amazing life. Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, totally.
Okay. Cool. So what would it take in order for that to be the reality for you? Because it's possible, right? So if it's possible, I'm a possibility guy at the end of the day. So if it's possible, what I want to know is, how do we make it possible? How do we make it possible for you, Charlotte?
That's a good question.
Yeah, that's the question.
That's the question. I wish I had the answer.
Well, let's break it down. Let's make it easy.
Mm-hmm.
What's one thing that you could start with? Just one thing.
To be living my perfect life, you mean? One.
Yeah. Just to be your most self-expressed, authentic self? What's one thing that you could do to start that?
Just let go of any of the feelings that you were talking about earlier, of people judging, and just go out and be me. Yeah.
Okay. So let go of, let's zero in on it a little bit. Let go of the fear.
Yeah.
Okay. And maybe let go of, tell me this. When we said that sometimes when we say they, who we really mean is I, does that mean that you have judged yourself?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Good at that one. Yeah.
Okay. So whose judgment is it that you really need to let go of?
My own judgment. Yeah.
Of who?
Of me.
Okay.
Also, yeah.
Okay. So if you were going to let go of your judgment of yourself, how would you do that?
Just do it.
Just do it. Right.
Just yeah.
You make it sound so easy.
Just let go of keep. Yeah, that isn't quite as easy to let it go just like that.
But isn't it heavy?
Heavy.
Yeah.
The feeling of me judging me. Yeah.
Aren't you kind of tired of holding on to it?
Yeah, I'm very tired of holding on to it. Yeah.
Okay.
Like to just thinking about the feeling of getting really excited, because that is the on the fear and excitement, they're sort of the same sort of thing, but the opposite, you know.
Yeah. Great. So let's get into that excitement energy.
I did when I got on the call, because it sort of changes my energy, sort of shoots it up.
Yeah. Okay. So I want you to just imagine that you're letting go of this judgment. And by letting go, what you're really doing is you're saying to yourself, I accept myself. Because if you accept yourself, then you don't judge yourself. If you accept yourself, then you are compassionate to yourself.
Yeah. So accepting myself totally.
Yeah. How does that feel? Just to think about that. I accept myself totally.
It feels very sort of relief.
Feels good, right?
Yeah, letting go. Yeah.
Yeah. If you embrace something else, it kind of means by default that you let go of another thing, right? Two items can't occupy the same space at the same time.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
So I want you to just imagine fully embracing this feeling of, I totally accept myself.
Wow. Yeah. Feel the different energy.
How does the energy feel?
Very positive and
Positive.
yeah, and light and
Good.
clear.
Clear.
Yeah.
Awesome. Great. So if you could choose to feel like this as much as you want, if you could choose to feel like this 7 days a week, is that what you would want?
I would love that. Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, cool. Yeah.
So how could you do that?
Meditate on it.
Meditate. Yeah,
and
sure.
on the word and get into the feeling of it. Yeah, I've been doing that with the ease. Yeah, get into the feeling of that. Yeah.
Great. So you've been doing that with ease. And how's that been working with ease?
Yeah, it's made my life. What I was doing, it made my life much easier. Totally different energy. Just got out of it for a bit the last week with so much hectic. But when I do it,
when you do it, it works.
Yeah, it works. Yeah.
I want you guys to write this down. When I do it, it works. How about that? The moment that you guys start to embrace that you are worthy, that you're enough, you feel it instantly, right? You feel it instantly. because it's always right there. It's always just right under the surface. I feel not worthy. I feel totally worthy is always just right here.
Mm.
If you can just let this go, then you can just be what you are.
Awesome.
So the whole point is to be obedient to your bigness, right? Because you don't feel it by accident, right? So she said, I feel ease when I do it. Well, that's true with anything. It's like if you consciously and deliberately go out of your way to think about what you're grateful for, how do you feel? Grateful, thankful, full, happy, content, fulfilled, right? When you do it, it works. So you just have to do it. It's just about making the decision to do it. I'm going to do it. And to choose that decision every single day. Every day is a new start. I'm going to choose that today. And then I'm going to choose that tomorrow. And I'm going to choose that the next day. And the reason that you choose it is because life is better when you choose it compared to when you don't choose it. Charlotte, when you're not intentional about ease, and you, like you said, life is kind of hectic. Is life better when you choose it or when you don't choose it?
Oh, when I choose it, yeah.
When you choose it. How about this? Write this down. Life is better when I choose it. What are you choosing? Life. You're choosing life. Because our definition of life is like really full, alive, right? How do we know if something has life? If we looked at a fish or a monkey or something, and we had to figure it out, how do we know? Does this thing have life or not? Well, is it alive? Is it moving? Is it embracing life in all of its fullness? Then yeah, it's alive. Okay, great. That's how we know. And that's how I want life to be for you guys. I want you not to just live, but to be alive with all of your bigness. But you have to choose it. You have to choose it, or you get to choose it. What a great opportunity. What a great gift. What if every day you woke up and I came into your house, Charlotte, and I said, hi, Charlotte, you can choose to have an awesome day today or not. And I'm the magic fairy that can grant you whatever you want. Which one are you going to choose today?
Choose a magic day, yeah.
Totally. And then if I came the next day, what would you choose?
The same thing.
The next day and the next day and the next day? Totally. Yeah. Well, listen, guys, like I'm in your head. I'm your thoughts. I'm your bigness. Because I'm just a reflection of you. Your opportunity to choose the life that you want is available to you every single day. You just get to choose it. That's all. So Miriam, let's hear from you. You tell me how this being too much or being too big has affected you.
The first thing that came to mind for me was this: who are you?
Who are you?
Dream that big, to think that's possible. Who are you? Okay. I know that this is something that my parents said to me when I was young, and I just overtook it as a belief. Well, we talked a lot about it, so I wrote down a few things.
Okay.
Better sentences that I can tell myself.
Great.
Like, I am here to play big.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just the reason why I'm here.
That's the point.
Yeah.
So if someone, let's just play devil's advocate for a minute. If you when you come to the event, and you're in the room and you're in your bigness, and I say, Marion, who are you to be so big? What are you gonna say?
I don't know.
Okay. But if you did know, what would you say?
I cannot say I'm Superman or something. I cannot say I do have superpower. I don't find the right words now for me.
That's okay. What could you say?
I don't know.
Okay, here's an idea. You tell me what you think. You could say, who am I not?
Yeah.
Who am I not? You know what you could also say?
Mm.
I'm big, that's who I am.
Okay.
What's something else you could say?
That's really hard.
Yeah, just something simple.
I don't know. That even scares me about thinking about it.
This is why we're talking about it.
Yeah, yeah, I know. I know.
So someone looks at you and says, who do you think you are to be so big? What do you say to them?
Well, I could say, well, I'm Marion, and I'm.
You could stop there.
Why do you even ask?
You could stop there.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
pause. Just pause.
Yeah.
You could say, I'm Marion. Isn't that the essence of your bigness anyway? Isn't it?
Well, yeah.
Yeah, it totally
It's
is.
that
And
easy.
listen, it's that first, yes, please guys, write that down. It gets to be that easy. Being big gets to be easy.
Yeah.
Being me gets to be easy. Whatever you want in life gets to be easy. Please write that down. How many people make a habit out of making things hard on themselves? Everybody. So let's not do that. But listen, Marion, and I want all of you guys to hear this, but Marion, for you specifically, I really want you to hear this. You do not have to rationalize or justify your bigness to anyone. Do you feel that?
Mm-hmm.
Just because people don't understand you doesn't mean that you have to. Remember, it's not your job to manage their emotions. When they say, who do you think you are to be so big? What are they really saying? Who are they really talking about, first of all? Themselves. Because whenever we say they, who are we really talking about? So when someone says you, who are they really talking about?
Them. Yeah.
So when they say, who do you think you are to be so big? What are they really saying? You know what they're really saying? Why do I play so small?
Mm-hmm.
They wish that they could be. Everyone, I don't know one person, if they really get really, really honest, I don't know one person that's like, I wish I could be smaller. No one says that. Everyone wishes they could be bigger. Do you know why? Because everyone on the inside has the Superman shirt. Everyone is bigger on the inside. Everyone shrinks to fit. And so if they see someone who's big, they say, well, who do you think you are? First of all, it's only because that's how most people show up, as small. So that's like a contradiction to how they think the world works. But more than anything, they're small. And they wish they could be big, and they're not. And they see you being big, and they just wish that they could be. And so there's two types of people. They're either the kind of people who are going to, like I said, see your bigness and then be inspired by it and then get bigger themselves because of you. Or they'll see your bigness and then it will make them feel small, not because you make them feel small, but because they make them feel small. Write that down. My bigness does not make anyone feel small. By me being big, it does not take away from anyone else. Do you guys get that? How could it? There's more than enough room for everyone to be big. But if someone already feels small and you're big, then they'll feel smaller just being in your presence. That's not something that you are doing to them. It's something that they are doing to themselves. Does that make sense? So if someone says, who do you think you are, Marion, to be so big? You can just say, I'm me. I'm Marion. That's it. You don't need to rationalize it. You don't need to justify it. You don't need to prove anything. I'm not a big Bible guy, but there's a great verse in the Bible that says, nothing to hide, nothing to prove, nothing to hide, nothing to fear, nothing to lose. Think about that. Nothing to hide. You can just be your ultimate self. You have nothing to hide. You have nothing to prove. You don't need to prove anything to anyone. You do not need their validation. You don't care about their judgment. It's not going to change you either way. You have nothing to prove. You don't have an ego. You're not insecure, right? So therefore, you have nothing to fear. You can just be big. And to Charlotte's point, you can just be big and make as many mistakes and fail as much as you want because you don't take it personally. You don't think, oh, I'm a failure. You just think, oh, I tried and it didn't work out. And then you try again. That's what every successful person does. They just fail a lot. And so you have nothing to hide, nothing to prove, nothing to fear, and nothing to lose. If you think about it, how much would you risk if you knew you had nothing to lose? How much would you risk? Everything, right? If you knew you couldn't lose, if you had nothing to fear, if you had nothing to prove, nothing to hide, then you'd just play life full out, wouldn't you? Well, isn't that the point? Isn't that why we're here? And so I want you guys to, it's beautiful because my hope is that all of you guys are going to be at the event. And so this is a great little catalyst conversation because when we get into the event, I'm just going to assume that you guys are all 10s and I'm going to treat you that way. So we're going to make plans and we're going to dream big and we're going to strategize and we're going to do all of the things as if you guys are this. So today gets to be kind of the the kickstart, if you will. Does that feel good, Marion? Does that make sense, what we've talked about with that?
Totally, yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Another small question that I had, you said, allow yourself to be selfish.
Yeah.
I mean, this is also a thing.
It's hard.
It's hard, yeah.
As soon as we're born, we get some things, and then we have siblings or there's other kids, and we're told that we have to share, right? And we're told from a very young age that it's bad to be selfish, right? But what happens is we don't get into a habit. Very, very, very few people from a young age are taught that it's good to accept themselves and to love themselves deeply and fully, to give themselves all the things that they need. How many of us neglect ourselves? A lot of people. How many of us have neglected ourselves before? I have, for sure. How many of us have gone out of our way to nurture ourselves before? Have you ever done that for yourself? Nurture yourself, done something really good for you? Bridget, hand, maybe. Okay, good. Didn't it feel good? It feels good when we give to ourselves. It feels bad when we neglect ourselves. If our feelings are there for a reason, if our feelings are kind of like an emotional navigation system, then what do you think good feelings lead us to? That's a good question. I want each of you to answer that question for me. What do good feelings lead us to? What do you think?
More good feelings.
More good feelings. More good feelings. Things that are good for us. Totally. More good. The better we feel, the better it gets. The better it gets, the better it gets. The better. You ever notice how the rich get richer? You ever hear that one before? It's not an accident, but it's also a metaphor. The happy-go-lucky get more happy and go lucky. Like, that's just how it works. Have you ever noticed how like depressed and miserable people get more depressed and miserable? Totally. So, how about get more good? Like, remember I said earlier, life is all about just seeing how good you can have it. Well, how about get some good and then feel it and then get more, and then feel it and then get more, and then feel it and then get more. And just make that your life. Make your life an entire process of pouring into yourself, being selfish. We have an entire culture, we have an entire world that believes it's bad to be selfish, and their cup is empty and they give to everyone but themselves, and it creates resentment, and it creates weirdness, and it creates conflict. So obviously that's not the solution. Like, just based on the results, based on how people feel, we're all giving away to people what we should be having for ourselves. We're creating kind of a culture of orphans, really. So it's a little edgy. It feels a little uncomfortable, but it's great, at least for a season, to be super selfish. What's in it for me? How can I feed me today? How can I nourish me today? What's best for me today? Trust me, we've spent so long thinking about other people, haven't we? Like, and we're going to continue to do that for the rest of our life. That's just who we are. We love people, and that's a good thing. And the longest relationship that we will ever be in, and the most important one, is the one that we have with ourselves. And so shouldn't that be like the most epic, awesome, loving, powerful relationship that we have? Totally. Most people want to run from that relationship. That's sad, because you can't get away. So Bridget, tell me how this makes you feel.
My connection's a little flaky. Excited.
Great.
I think the big sort of connection I'm making today is about how even just the concept of being too much is implying a standard that's outside of me, because
Right.
I can't actually be too much for myself, because that doesn't make sense.
That's right. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Did you guys hear what she said? I can't be too much to myself. I can only be too much to someone else's standard. And do you think that someone else's standard is a 10, or probably more like a 5 or below?
Definitely. Definitely not a 10.
Definitely not a 10. So that's beautiful, Bridget, because it liberates you. It's like, no, of course, as big as I can be, that's how big I'm designed to be. And if I feel big to someone else, that's called reference. That's somebody else's perception of me, but that's not me. Right? Superman, to most people, feels really big. Like, oh man, Superman, like he can fly and shoot lasers out of his eyes, and like, that's pretty crazy. And he's like big and strong. But on his home planet back in the day, he was just another guy. Like, everyone can do that. Like, oh, wait, yeah, like we all do the laser thing. Like, we all fly. Like, it's not a big deal, right? It's reference. It's just context. So to Superman on his home planet, he just feels like a normal. He's not too big. That's just normal. Your bigness is normal, Bridget. Like, if we all, let's just dream for just a second. If we all embraced our bigness, if we all just lived like the Superman or the Superwoman that we are, and we stopped pretending and we stopped playing like we were anything less than big, we wouldn't be intimidated by each other. We'd be like, oh, wow, Charlotte's a 10 and Bridget's a 10. Wow, that's great. They can both fly and shoot laser beams. Oh, cool, right? Like, oh, Miriam is just like throwing trucks over entire mountains. That's cool. I'm not intimidated by that, because I can do that too. And so can you, and so can you. And like, oh, we all do it. Like, that's cool. Like, bigness wouldn't be something that you should be ashamed of. I will not be ashamed of my bigness. That's silly. The fact that it's not normal is sad, but it doesn't make it weird. It's sad that not everyone is big, but it doesn't mean that you're wrong for being big. Right? Feel the difference?
Yeah.
The difference. That is great insight, Bridget. Great. Thank you. Awesome, guys. So here's what I want. We've got the holidays coming up, and that's when people tend to have all kinds of crazy feelings, right? I want you guys to be as big and as selfish as possible during the holidays. And I know that sounds so funny, because isn't the holidays like all about giving? Well, who's the person that gets left out the most in that giving? us, right? To learn to give to ourselves. I want you guys to be super big and super selfish during the holidays. And just try it on. Because I want you guys to be prepared. When you come to Santa Barbara, I want you to be prepared. Because I'm not going to baby you. And I want you to just try it on because I bet it's going to feel good. Like we said, when you're a 10, it feels good. When you do, like Charlotte said, when you do the thing, you feel good and you get the result. And when you don't do it, you feel bad. Well, I want you to do it because I want you to feel good. At the end of the day, guys, I just want you to feel good. That's all I want for you. I want you to have everything that you want. I want you to be everything that you want to be. I want you to do everything that you want to do, to give everything that you want to give. But in order to do all those things, you must be able to pour into yourself, and you must be, there's two fundamental pieces of the puzzle. And I will end with this. You must accept yourself fully. You must accept yourself fully, because if you accept yourself fully, when you accept yourself fully, I'd encourage you to start now, then you have nothing to hide and nothing to prove and nothing to fear and nothing to lose. Okay? So that's part one. I accept myself 100%. I accept myself just as I am. I love myself just as I am. That's part one. And part two is I am willing to expand to the greatest of my capacity. I am willing to expand to the greatest of my capacity. So one is about accepting who you are and where you are and everything that's going on right now. And the other one is about accepting how big you can possibly be. And you, like I said, you'll never be bigger than you are right now. But as you practice being bigger, you'll probably notice your outside world will get bigger. You'll most likely have bigger relationships, meaning more depth and more richness. You'll probably have a bigger bank account. Maybe you'll have a bigger house. If nothing else, you'll just have a bigger life, if you get what I mean. So part one is about acceptance, and part two is about expansion. Acceptance, expansion. When you merge those two, when your life becomes about radical self-acceptance and monumental expansion, then that's the best life gets, in my opinion. Because then you can be, do, give, have everything you could possibly imagine and more. And that's the point. That's how you get to have a truly great life. And that's how you get to make a huge impact for other people as well. Do you guys agree with that? Give me a thumbs up if that's true. Yeah, heck yeah. Awesome, guys. So over the holidays, I want you to radically be selfish, because that's acceptance. And I want you to radically be big, because that's expansion. And I don't care if you're around your family, your extended family, that maybe you're an entrepreneur and they don't quite understand what that's all about, and you kind of shrink to fit, right? Bridget's smiling because she knows exactly what I'm talking about, right? Miriam knows, Charlotte knows. We do something. We get around family and like, listen, guys, we're safe here. This is us, right? Like, we're dreamers. We have big dreams for the world. We have visions that we want to create, entire worlds. And then we get around our family and we're like, oh, things are okay. And I'm not really going to talk about my bigness, and I'm just going to eat some crackers over here. Okay. Right. I want you guys to expand, because even if your family doesn't understand, if your family feels small, that's on them. That's not your job to manage that. But maybe, just maybe, you'll inspire them. Maybe one of your family members wants to do something big, but they've never thought about it. And by you being big and not budging and just staying big, you crack them, and they're like, man, now I want to be big. Right? And if nothing else, even if you don't inspire anyone, your experience gets to be big, and that's what you want. And that matters. What you want matters. Okay? Deal? Okay. I love the smiles. Great, guys. thanks for being here today. And I'm really glad that we could kind of go more personal here. I think it's perfect. And yeah, I'm excited. I want you to, if you want, you guys can send me personal messages about how your selfish, expansive holiday experience was, or you can post it in the group, whatever feels best for you. But I'm really honored to be here with you guys today. This is such an awesome topic, and I want you guys to know that all of you really inspire me a lot, and I love your bigness. And so I'll look forward to hearing from you guys soon. I hope you have a great holiday. Bye, guys.